Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome back with next topic of chapter number 2, that is the structure of atoms. In previous class we were discussing about the isotopes and isotopes of different elements like hydrogen, carbon, chlorine and uranium. In today's lecture we will discuss about the uses of some isotopes. Stable and radioactive isotopes have many applications in science and medicines. Let's discuss uses of some isotopes. Okay, iodine 131 is used to diagnose the thyroid problems. Let's watch a video in which we will see how iodine 131 is used to diagnose the thyroid problems.
And in this video, we will see radioactive iodine or iodine 131. So let's start. It is commonly available as solution which is given orally. After absorption, it goes to thyroid gland. The radioactive iodine accumulates in thyroid follicle same as stable isotope does. Talking about mechanism of action, they emit beta particles which penetrate from 0.5 to 2 millimeters deep and destroys follicular cells from inside. The cells undergo pycnosis, necrosis, and there will be eventual fibrosis of the gland. The process is slow and takes 2 to 3 months till hyperthyroidism is completely controlled. The good thing is there is minimal injury to surrounding tissue. Apart from beta particles, it also emits gamma rays, which passes through the tissue and can be measured from external detector. This property is used for diagnostic purpose. Half-life of radioactive iodine is about 8 days.
I hope students you understand well how iodine 131 radioactive isotope is used to diagnose thyroid problems. Let's discuss the use of radioactive isotope in circulatory system. Sodium 24 is used to trace the flow of blood and to detect the possible constrictions and obstructions in circulatory system. Let's watch a video to see how sodium 24 is used to trace the flow of blood.
Radioactive sodium is used to detect a clot in the human body. A different isotope of sodium is injected into the limb and its flow rate in the body is studied.
Radioactive isotopes also helpful to take the image. Iodine 123 is used to take the image of brain and thyroid gland, etc. Let's see how. Radioactive iodine is ingested in human body. After some times, it accumulated in thyroid glands and emit gamma radiations. 6 to 24 hours later, gamma camera detects the gamma radiations released by decaying of iodine in the thyroid gland. And these radiations create the picture of thyroid glands for examination. For example, in this picture, dark areas are showing more absorption of iodine 123. If there is any sign of thyroid disease, person may undergo the treatment of iodine 131. Another use of radioactive isotope is to irradiate cancer cells, which means treatment of cancer cell by radiations. For this purpose, cobalt 60 is used that produce highly penetrating gamma rays. These gamma rays are used to irradiate cancer cells in the hope of killing and shrinking of tumors. Radioactive isotopes are also helpful to determine the molecular structures. For this purpose, different techniques are used to track the passage of an isotope through a chemical reaction. Like sulfur 35 has been used in the structure determination of thiosulfate ion. Radioactive isotopes are also helpful to trace the path. For this purpose, carbon 14 is used to trace the path of carbon in a plant during photosynthesis. Let's watch a video to understand how carbon 14 is used to trace the path of carbon.
One way of proving that a plant takes up carbon is to feed it with radioactive CO2. This is produced when dilute acid is added to radioactive hydrogen carbonate solution. Acid plus hydrogen carbonate produces carbon dioxide and water. Any unused CO2 is absorbed by potassium hydroxide solution. This prevents any radioactivity escaping. The whole process is carried out in a fume cupboard. The plant is illuminated and left for a few hours. Remove the plant from the apparatus and it's possible to check it for radioactivity with a Geiger counter. Carbon atoms from the radioactive CO2 gas have become part of the structure of the plant. The carbon dioxide containing radioactive carbon-14 combines with water to form radioactive sugars. In a darkroom, one of the leaves is wrapped in cling film and placed onto a piece of undeveloped photographic film sensitive to radioactivity. After being left in the dark for 2 days, an image of the leaf has developed. This is further evidence that the radioactive carbon is now a part of the leaf.
Okay, students, I hope you understand well how the path of carbon is traced during photosynthesis. Radioactive isotopes also helps in dating of objects, which means estimate the age of objects. For this purpose, carbon 14 is used to determine the age of carbon containing substances. The technique carbon 14 dating is developed by Willard Libby in late 1940s, and he got Nobel Prize in 1960s for this technique. Scientists use the same technique to determine the age of any organic material. This technique is based upon a fact that carbon 14 is constantly creates in the atmosphere in the form of radioactive carbon dioxide, which is absorbed by plants during photosynthesis, and animals acquire it when these plants are consumed by them. So in all living things, concentration of carbon 14 is keep on increasing. But after the death of these organisms, amount of carbon 14 will start decreasing because the radioactive decay of C14 is started. What is radioactive decay? It is a process in which unstable atomic nucleus lose its energy by emitting radiations. So organisms are unable to pick more C14. By comparing the activity of a sample of skull or jaw bones with the activity of living tissues, we can estimate how long it has been since the organism died. So this process is called carbon 14 dating or carbon dating or dating. In this way, we can say radioactive isotopes are also used to date the objects. It is used to date rocks, soils, mummies, and archaeological objects. What are archaeological objects? These are prehistoric antiquities such as the remains of buildings or monuments. For examples, tools made of stones, metal objects such as weapons, and items of personal adornment such as buttons, jewelry, and clothing. Radioactive isotopes are also used to study the mechanism of a chemical reaction. For example, in the process of photosynthesis, carbon dioxide and water reacts in the presence of sunlight and produce glucose and oxygen. Now, to check the released oxygen either come from water or carbon dioxide, we use radioactive isotope oxygen 18, and by performing different experiments it is proved that released oxygen come from water. Let's see experiment number 1. Here you can see when water molecule reacts with carbon dioxide, water with oxygen 18 and carbon dioxide with normal oxygen. When it is given to plant, as a result, oxygen 18 is released. On the other side, In the experiment number 2, when water reacts with carbon dioxide, water with normal oxygen, and carbon dioxide with oxygen 18, when it is given to a plant, normal oxygen is released. So, it is proof that the oxygen 18 is coming from water during photosynthesis. It was all about the uses of isotopes according to your syllabus. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.